Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
Okay, next is Stephanie Castanada versus Olivia Lindy, case number 26-30290-PH. And this hearing is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on YouTube.
And this matter comes before the court today on the respondent's motion to terminate a personal protective order the court granted in favor of Ms. Castanada. And I do see both parties here at this time. I'm going to ask both of you to state and spell your name for the record. We can begin with Ms. Castanada.
Stephanie Castaneda, Stephanie, Castaneda.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lindy.
Olivia Lindy, Alivealindy.
All right, Ms. Lindy, you filed this. I granted the PPO, obviously, because this is a motion to terminate the order that I granted, and it was based on alleged posts on Facebook. So, I guess the one, perhaps that jumps out most is this concern about you posting on Facebook about Ms. Castanada's son being in Pine Rest. And it looks like, well, let me swear you in and I'll take your testimony on that.
Okay, sir.
If you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, very good. And I take it you deny that you posted that on Facebook.
Correct, I did. I have the proof that I sent it to a Steve Smith that Stephanie sent to me privately through Facebook Messenger that had reached out to me that said to read Stephanie's messages, and I had Stephanie blocked.
Okay. Well, and I mean, the question is more so, did you post anything independently yourself?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, about her, and you knew the his son was in Pine Rest because of your communications with Stephanie's boyfriend, who's a Timothy?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your relationship with him?
We had an affair in 2024. They owe me money, court judgment from Wyoming that they haven't paid for. So I was still trying to get my payment from him, and he needed to secret hush hush so Stephanie didn't know. And then he and I started talking, communicating, and then we ended up sleeping together again.
Okay, that's a strange way to get into an affair with a former debtor, but nonetheless, okay. And I also see on here, my son has never once told anyone that Mason was suicidal at school. So you have a son that's around the same age, I take it?
Yes, my son is 2 or 3 years younger than hers. Her son is in 8th grade. Mine's in 6th grade. So, I mean, they're in the same building. They don't have any passing time or anything to get together. I called the school the moment I got the very next day when I was served Stephanie's PPO to call up there to find out what was going on, because I hadn't received any phone calls from them saying that my son was starting any issues. And they told me that they hadn't even heard anything from Miss Castanada or anything along those lines about anything that they were saying. I asked for a statement from the school, but they said that because it was a private matter that they wouldn't make a statement or anything unless it was court ordered.
Okay. And you've spoken to your son about this since that time?
Yes, I did the moment I got the PPO.
Okay. And what's your son's relationship with Mason?
They have no contact other than the bus that I know of.
Okay, all right. So they ride the bus together. I mean, because your response here says when Mason was in Pine Rest, my son asked where he was.
Yes, because they met at the bus stop because Larry has younger siblings and so does Mason. So he would meet that for his younger siblings at the other bus stop where their younger siblings would get dropped off at.
I see.
And Stephanie and Timothy were both down there. And my son goes, well, where's Mason been lately?
Okay. All right. And
I would like to point out, sir, for the record, that my son Larry has been in Pine Rest for beating me up. So that's something I would not publicly post about because I didn't even publicly post about my own son being in Pine Rest.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. What about this line? He says, I was asked to, oh, you were asked by private message on Facebook what all I knew about the family from Stephanie's cousin, Stephen Smith. And you told him about Mason being in Pine Rest, not a public post, but this is on Facebook Messenger.
Correct. Yep. And I have copies of those messages. And I also have messages between me and Steve Smith where I wrote, now they're trying to get me for harassment. And he wrote, how can they do that when you're not even talking to them?
Okay.
And I have it where they also said that they showed Stephanie the messages of what I knew of the family. And they said that Stephanie said that there wouldn't be an issue. And then I get served with this PPO.
All right. Well, I think I understand your side of the story now. Let me take, unless there's something else you think I ought to know, and I'll give you a chance to respond after Ms. Castanada gives me her side of the story as well. Anything else I need to know before I turn to her?
Yes, I don't know if you were made aware a day before this PPO was put into place, there was, they called the police on me and they
No, I have
made,
no idea.
okay, so that they used that same Facebook post. And that's when I found out that Timothy had a PPO against me from October that was never served to me. And they
Okay.
have been trying to put me in jail since then. And so that's, and I've even talked to the officer since then. And he said that the post that they were trying to show me, it was Officer Schellenbarger from the Wyoming PD. I talked to him. I have his personal phone number. He told me that the post that they were trying to show him, that he even told them that it was opinionated, that it wasn't even addressed to them or anything.
Okay. And you're saying the only thing you put on Facebook was this message in response to an inquiry from this Stephen Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was a private message. Nothing about the children, nothing along the lines of that.
I thought you said during that message that you did tell Stephen Smith that you
Yes,
knew about
on
him.
Facebook
Yeah.
Messenger, not on like actual Facebook. I have those right here.
I see what you're saying. Okay. No, I understand. So it's a private message intended for Steve Smith. Do you know Steve?
No, I had no idea who that was. I even asked, my very first message to them was, you sent me this message. It went to my message request. I don't know who you are, so who are you? And it took all day for them to respond to me telling me that they were Stephanie's cousin.
Got it. Okay. And then once they did, then you gave them the information you had.
Yes. And then I would like to also point out that this isn't the first time that she's had people reach out to me. I have other proof to show numerous other people that she's had reach out to me saying all different sorts of stuff. And then she comes back with stuff like this.
All right. Well, let me swear in Ms. Castanada and see what she has to say. Ms. Castanada, if you'd raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well, you have heard what Ms. Lindy has to say. First of all, I guess, was this post, was it a Facebook post? Was it a private message to someone else? What form is it in? I'm not a Facebook expert.
It was a private message, but I don't know with Stephen Smith. I don't have no cousin, no family, no friends named that. They reached out to me, letting me know that the neighbor, Olivia, was sending them messages about my family.
Okay, and so as far as you know, that Stephen Smith might be a neighbor of the two. Do you live in the same area?
There's
We live
one.
right next to each other.
Okay, and then there's Mr. Smith that may live in that area as well, and he just said, oh, I got this kind of unsolicited message.
I'm not sure because I don't know who it is. I don't have a Facebook friend named that or anything.
Kind of an ambiguous name too, Steve Smith. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
you're saying that person reached out to you and said, hey, I got this message about your son from Miss Lindy, what did he say was the content of the message?
Just let me know that she was letting my personal business of my son being depressed and going to Pine Rest to other people that really don't have no business knowing that.
And I guess the next question is, if you don't know this guy, why do you even believe him?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know him.
Yeah, well, and then I question, because I mean that's the main basis of your, um, your protective order application here. Why should I trust what he said? It's kind of like third-hand information
Well,
from someone you don't know.
I would like to say that since the PPO has been in place, I feel much better with it in place. I don't feel like I'm being harassed. She takes her kids to another bus stop, so I don't have to see her. She does her business, drives by my house like she's supposed to, instead of trying to ramp stuff up, because it's an ongoing, all the time thing.
Well,
This is all the time because
what are
her
the
and
other bases? I don't have your original application in front of me here. Besides this posting, and I remember now that the posting about the Sun and Pine Rest jumped out at me. What other postings are you referring to?
Well, when I found out about her and my boyfriend having the affair, she went on Facebook publicly and let everybody know how pathetic I was for giving him another chance. I'm just stupid because it's been happening behind my back, just downgrading me for choices that them two made together. And I feel
Years ago, right?
no, sir, this was here recently. It's been going on for about 2 to 3 years, I suppose, on and off.
And what you're saying is she's making other posts. Do they say your name in them, Miss
It does
Castanada?
not say the name, but I mean, everybody here in our neighborhood knows what has been going on.
Okay,
It's
good.
been an ongoing thing for 2 to 3 years. And since I've had the PPO these couple of months, I've had I don't feel as bombarded with everything. It feels like she does her own thing, leaves me alone.
Well,
And
I
I
also
would
trying to
like
get a grip
continue.
on this, bombardment with information. I mean, and is it directed? Are you still with the Tim guy?
Man, we have children together. We've been together 10 years.
Okay, well, and how much of this stuff from Miss Lindy is directed at him versus what's directed at you?
You're right. It is directed at him too, which I don't care about. That's his business. But when it says she's so pathetic, taking him back, he loves me not, like just stuff like that she's publicly posting on Facebook.
When was the most recent of those posts?
Um, Probably right before she got the PPO.
Okay, and did you attach, well,
I
you got the
didn't. I
P
couldn't figure out
before,
how to
yeah,
get
you
it.
attached it to your application?
I did not.
You did not. It was mainly, or at least I remember from the application, what jumped out at me was the Pine Rest thing.
Yeah,
So,
because our sons do communicate. They communicate on the bus. That's how her son was asking Mason, "Oh, I heard you went to your uncle's." Mason's like, "Yeah." And then he told my son, "Well, my mom said you went to the same place I did, Pine Rest."
okay.
And my son did too.
All right. Well, I mean, screen just blanked out. I mean, there we go. So, I mean, the concern there is that, well, I mean, there is kind of a different issue because when they're between, school age kids, it's really the kid that ought to be getting a protective order. Sometimes it goes to the parent, but I mean, unless, he's saying my mom said you went to Pine Rest. That doesn't mean that's necessarily trying to get at you. It might be just
Right.
asking him the question, or it might be trying to, get a rise out of your son. But how's it directed at you?
It's not really directed at me, but my son had some issues going on at school, and I just didn't want to get around to the school. My son and her son, they haven't had no issues. Like my son's like, "Mom, I don't have no issues with him or whatever," which is great, thank God. I just feel like me having the PPO on her, it has stopped a lot of problems. She would yell over here and everything, and I would yell back at her. I just feel with this in place, it's keeping everything quiet.
Yeah, well, I get it, but I guess my thing is to justify a PPO, you have to fulfill very specific requirements, and one of them is 2 incidents of harassment. Now, yelling back and forth usually doesn't work because, well, if it's a two-way harassment,
Right.
then it's impossible for one of the people to say, well, they're harassing me, but I'm harassing them right back. I mean, unless the other person, escalates it. You know, if you're yelling back and forth and the other person waves a pistol at you, well, that's different. But that doesn't sound like what's going on here. And then the second part of that is, you know, this posting on Facebook, it seems like that was kind of through a channel, an unknown channel, Mr. Steve Smith, who no one knows who it is, who asked, you know, according at least to Miss Lindy, asked a question that she answered thinking he, probably erroneously, was a relative of yours, you know, and just wanted some sort of update. And then, you know, took upon himself to forward that information on to you, saying, well, you know, she's spreading this information about you like Mr. Smith's the meddler in this whole thing, not so much either of you two. So neither of those really are very good bases for a PPO in my, you know, estimation, as trying to follow the law here. So I'm going to rule at this time that the PPO is terminated. I understand you feel better having it in place. I certainly would advise, you know, giving each other space. That's what PPOs are intended to do. There is bad blood. It's out of, you know, the relationship with Tim or whatever his name is. You know, that's not going to go, you know, he's going to be around. But, you know, if the main beef is with him, well, if the two of you can avoid, you know, getting in each other's faces or whatever regarding that, then that would be best. And I know your kids are going to be best served if they think everything's just normal. You know, most kids are just trying to, when they're in high school, they're just trying to stay off the skyline. They don't want to do anything. And the last thing they want to do is have oh, my mom's the one going crazy out there, not me. So, you know, just for their sakes, if nothing else, just, you know, keep the roof on and keep the wheels on the car here to get these kids to school.
Your
I'll
Honor, may I
assume-
say something real
yeah,
fast?
go ahead.
I would just like to point out that she has threatened her older son Mason to come and beat up my son Larry over things, and I have the message right here from Stephen Smith where he says that it's her cousin.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, I mean, I don't doubt it. Mr. Smith might have said that, but the fact is, no one here appears to know who this Stephen Smith is or what business he has in the middle of this case. So, I mean, he could say whatever he wants, and that's
Right. No,
that's
I
the trouble
understand, but
online
they
is,
sent
you
they
don't know.
sent me pictures and
Yeah.
screenshots of
Yeah,
what
it seems
Stephanie
like
sent.
it might be legitimate and that you might have a legit reason to answer that. And you weren't trying to post that out to the whole world. You were trying to respond to what you thought was a legit question. So I don't think that was targeted at Ms. Castanada to be an act of harassment. I think you know, to just take you at your testimony today that you thought he was a cousin and you were just honestly responding with information that you knew. So I'm going to terminate the PPO at this time. And like I say, let's try to keep the peace. It seems like the kids get along okay, you know, and, you know, with, you know, kids that are getting treatment and stuff like that, I'm very sensitive to how, you know, much they need the treatment. Number one, when kids go to Pine Rest, it's not because they don't need to be there, it's because they do need to be there. And then number two is, but the last thing that any kid would want to do is go back to school and then be teased about it or something like that. Even us grown-ups don't want to be teased about going to Pine Rest when it's a kid in high school. So let's keep the privacy considerations for everyone at the front of our mind best we can.
Yes.
And with that, I'll sign an order either today or tomorrow terminating the PPO. And thank you both for showing up and testifying. You were both very polite and well conducted today. I have no doubt you can make this all work.